Chapter 9 Too Close, Too Gone. Endangered Species. What's the first group you joined? I'm not sure what the answer is for me, whether the church choir, my softball or soccer team, my brownies troop, or something else. I know the first big organizations I ever joined were Greenpeace, the World Wildlife Fund, and Conservation International. My grandma Dorothy told me one year that for Christmas, she and my pop-pop, my grandfather, wanted to give me a year's membership to any organization of my choice that was making a difference in the world. I think I was 8 when we had that conversation, but I may have been a little younger or older. As mentioned in the previous chapter, at that time I was very concerned about coral reefs and whales, even though I lived far from any ocean. My grandparents first gave me a membership to Greenpeace. I devoured all the Greenpeace materials that arrived in the mail. This was back when everything came in the mail. There were no websites to visit, or email or text updates to receive. Over the next couple of years, each Christmas, my grandparents gave me a year-long membership to the World Wildlife Fund and Conservation International, both conservation-focused groups. I'd gotten more interested in helping save elephants from poaching and appreciated the work each was doing in that area. I'd also started reading old issues of the National Geographic magazine in our school library, searching for articles on elephants and other endangered species, particularly as I waited for someone else to return various Encyclopedia Brown books I wanted to read. I loved learning about what we were doing in the United States to save our iconic bald eagle and the California condor, and about what work was being done elsewhere to protect not only elephants but also other animals under threat for whatever reasons. I remember being so grateful my grandparents helped me to do what felt like my small part through my organizational memberships to protect animals I had seen only in the local Little Rock Zoo or the pages of National Geographic. The hard work, commitment, and support of people all over the world have helped save a lot of animals. But sadly, many of the species I worried about in the 1980s are still endangered today, and some are even closer to extinction. Scientists and other experts who track and study wildlife estimate that 1 out of every 5 of the world's animals, including mammals, reptiles, birds, and fish, are threatened with extinction. If a species, like the golden toad mentioned in the last chapter, goes extinct, that means every animal in the species has died out and no one will ever see another one anywhere on Earth. Some amount of extinction is expected, even natural. This is what scientists call the background extinction rate. It should be about 1 to 5 species per year for the whole world. But we're currently losing species so quickly that research can't keep up. What we do know is that it's not a small number. Scientists estimate that plant and animal species are going extinct at 1,000 to 10,000 times the natural background rate, meaning we're losing at least 1,000 species a year, and likely more. If current extinction rates continue in our lifetimes, by the year 2050, we could lose up to half of all species that are alive today. That is a very bleak vision and is referred to as the 6th Great Wave of Extinction. The first 5 waves occurred millions and millions of years ago. Most dinosaurs died out in the 5th wave. The 6th wave of extinction is not inevitable. We know what works and has succeeded in the past to help lessen the threats facing animals across the world and to make sure we grow up and grow old in a world full of wildlife diversity. Endangered species should concern everyone, not just those of us who are drawn to certain species. I love wildlife, though I admit I especially love giraffes, elephants, whales, and gorillas, or those of us, like me, who love going to the zoo with our families and friends to marvel at the crazy climbing, slithering, flying, or acrobatic abilities of the animals. Even if someone doesn't care about wildlife, isn't interested in lions or leopards, and never wants to go to the zoo, endangered species matter to all our lives. When a species becomes endangered, it sends a message that things are shifting in its larger environment, and not for the better. Animal species depend on one another, and we depend on them. If just one species is lost, that may mean we're missing an important part of our food chain or an animal that helps keep our oceans, rivers, and air clean. Healthy animal species means healthier environments and ultimately healthier humans. And who doesn't want that? Sometimes it's hard to wrap our heads around how small actions like helping save a species in another country can also help fight poverty. This may sound flippant or smart alecky, but it's not. Many African countries rely on tourism tied to wildlife, like through safaris, to help their economies continue to grow and to lift people out of poverty. How does this work? Think about your family vacations when you become a tourist. Your family spends money on hotels or on camping, on purchasing food from local stores or eating at restaurants, on buying souvenirs, and when visiting local attractions, whether wildlife parks or amusement parks. All of those places hire workers to run and staff the hotels, to cook and serve the restaurant meals, to convince you to buy that extra t-shirt, and to make sure all the rides run safely. Those people, in turn, earn money from their work that they use to pay their rent or buy a house, buy groceries or eat out, ride a bus to work, or to visit a friend. If elephants and rhinos disappear, fewer tourists will visit the places where they used to live, and fewer people will then be employed. If parents lose their tourism-connected jobs, they may not be able to afford to pay for school or food for their kids, which in turn would hurt the income of teachers, farmers, and others in the community. Healthy animal populations, including many of the species under extreme threat like elephants, attract tourists to Kenya, Tanzania, and other countries where these remarkable animals live. Although this chapter focuses on endangered animals and not endangered plants, over centuries, scientific research on plants has led to many medical breakthroughs. According to the National Cancer Institute, a majority of cancer medicines come in part from rainforest plants. Our continued reliance on nature for our health, beyond the food we eat, air we breathe, and water we drink, has long fascinated me. Although this chapter focuses on endangered animals and not endangered plants, over centuries, scientific research on plants has led to many medical breakthroughs. According to the National Cancer Institute, a majority of cancer medicines come in part from rainforest plants. Our continued reliance on nature for our health, beyond the food we eat, air we breathe, and water we drink, has long fascinated me. In 8th grade, my first science report at my new school in Washington, D.C. was a group project on a few such plants, including curare and the Madagascar periwinkle. Curare is a chemical extracted from various plants in Central and South America. Originally used by indigenous people to poison the tips of arrows, after years of experiments, curare is now an ingredient in medicines to help in various surgeries. Medicines from the Madagascar periwinkle are used to fight many diseases and have helped most kids who now get leukemia survive. My group got to show our poster on the extraordinary properties of these plants alongside our classmates at the National Zoo, a perfect setting to be talking about the importance of saving all our species. If we keep losing plants and animals at such a rapid rate, who knows what potential medical breakthroughs will never happen? What do you think has caused most extinctions? Well, historically, species have gone extinct for many reasons. Diseases, destructive one-time events like volcanic eruptions and asteroid strikes, and slow shifts in the climate that made an area unlivable to certain species have all driven various species to extinction. Most dinosaurs, for example, are thought to have become extinct about 65 million years ago because of either an asteroid or volcano. One or the other quickly killed most of the plants and animals the dinosaurs ate and also created a long-lasting darkness that made it difficult for the plants and animals that survived the initial destruction to stay alive. The asteroid or volcano didn't kill all species. Crocodiles, for instance, were alive then and clearly survived. Sharks did too. Hopefully, hugely destructive asteroids will only exist from now on in movies and video games and won't be a threat to animals or us. Today, competition between animals and people for limited resources, people's appetite for jewelry, decorations, so-called medicines that have no proven medical value, and other things made from endangered species, plus the effects of climate change, are the main reasons animal species are threatened with extinction. Global warming is most immediately threatening to those species that live in environments most vulnerable to climate change, like the Arctic. Poaching, or the killing of animals illegally, is a risk to any animal perceived to be worth more dead than alive. Poachers today are generally not just a few outlaw hunters trying to prove that they're tough or looking to earn a few extra dollars on their own to help support their families. Poaching has become a massive underground illegal business. Often, the same dangerous criminals at the heart of poaching are trafficking illegal drugs and guns. Trade in illegal wildlife and wildlife products, including everything from timber to ivory from a slaughtered elephant's tusks to horns from slaughtered rhinos, is thought to be the fourth biggest illegal enterprise in the world, valued at a staggering $19 billion a year. Around half of that money originates from illegal animal products like ivory. Killing endangered species is clearly a big business. It's also a deadly one for people as well as the animals being targeted. Protecting endangered species is dangerous work in much of the world. More than 1,000 rangers have died in the last 10 years alone across Africa and Asia, brutally murdered by the same poachers who kill animals in cold blood. In this chapter, you'll get to know a few specific endangered species from around the world and the major threats to them as a way to put an animal face on the endangered species crisis. You'll also hear about how we can save endangered species today and for the future, barring any asteroids, of course.